And
Yeah.
you can base it off. I mean, if you go through that CPT in whatever school you like the best, it's
Yeah.
all perspective.
Certified personal trainer
Certified
is
personal
CPT.
We should have said that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we said it now.
But no, so like continued education's helped, and getting the cert helped. But I think knowing about the basics of how you can start explaining it to somebody, and if you're a trainer who's never really like they know, I know a lot of trainers who like they know a crap ton about how to get somebody swole or how to get somebody leaned out or whatever, but they don't actually know the science of it.
Right.
And I'm not saying that that's wrong. To each their own, do whatever you need to do. But if you can research it and learn a little bit or teach the people that you're working with a little bit, it starts to make more sense just as far as what we understand from the human body, right?
Right.
So going through the phases, you take somebody from doing nothing into, and it's not so much that they need to go through these phases specifically, and like everybody's body is different. But when you start somebody out from doing nothing to doing these resistance trainings, it's so easy to have somebody, you break them off in the first workout.
Happens all the damn
time. So
time.
as a trainer, knowing some of the phases and what you need to focus in on after you like assess somebody is super important. Even if you're just like winging it, maybe you don't follow to the T.
Right.
But you can get people better results, right? So we were just talking before we started doing the podcast just now about basics, right? About the basics. And how even now, we have some members, are like amazing athletes, they're working through their things. But if they can focus in and tweak on some of those smaller things, in our minds, we think it's like, you're like, oh, I'm done with that part.
Yeah, lean is real linear.
But if you never did it,
Yeah.
you might have developed this strength over time, but those little pieces of the phases are important. So like stabilization, in my favorite endomuscular, like muscular endurance phase is probably the best.
Yeah.
Hypertrophy, max strength, and power, and there's different variations for different modalities and different training protocols.
Right.
But those are the ones I follow because like I can remember in karate, didn't know what it was when I was doing it because I was just a karate teacher.
You were a younger.
I was a younger
Michael. Ignorant Michael.
Didn't know nothing. But like teaching those kids and learning from my teachers, the stuff that they had developed had
those progressions in it.
Had kinesiology and physical exercise science based. It was based in that and traditions, and even some of those like old Japanese stuff, the old Japanese translations of what our modern day karate was.
Yeah,
you could tell was maybe inadvertently science based in the human body. And
that's super interesting that you mentioned that. There's I saw a video the other day of this.
Had to start somewhere with stabilization.
Yeah, there was a video of this kid who he was I'm sorry, I don't know what country he was from, but he was training as a monk, and he was very, very young, had to be about 6 years old, maybe younger, and in the first stage of the CPT model, as you said, is stability, and stability is the foundation of everything, because if you have really, really strong and reliable stabilizers, then when you get up into things like maximal load, your risk of injury is going to be way, way lower, which is why they start with stabilization. You need it first. So this kid, they had him on these pillars, and he was in a horse stance, and he had these two sticks out on his arms. His arms were out like this, and he had these two sticks, and the kid was like crying. He was like, he was gonna, but the kid was a badass. They like took him through like the journey. He was hopping upstairs and shit. But at the very beginning, he was just there and he was just stabilizing. And they had uneven load on his arms, and he was just trying to hold himself up. And you could tell that the stumps were not like rock solid secure. Yeah. So he had to constantly adjust, which is exhausting. If you've never stood on a Bosu ball or on one of those foam pads, the instability is really difficult to deal with over a long period of time, especially if you've never done any kind of stability training. But yeah, so even those old school traditional styles of training use that basic model.
Try it right now. If you're listening and you're standing and you're not going to knock over anything. Stand on one leg for the rest of the podcast. Go. Switch halfway. I'll tell you when that is.
Okay. Yeah, I thought you were talking to me. I thought you were like, try right now. And I was like, hey, no, listen, I worked out at 8 this morning. I'm already real tired. I was already coming up with excuses.
You're like, oh, see what? Well, I mean, we can do that on Another time,
All right, man. So
stabilization though, like,
Yeah.
it's cool because it doesn't. I don't know. I guess we always relate everything to the gym, right?